Heather's going to share just for a minute here about Hanukkah.
Hi. Oh, is it on? Hello, hello. Got it? Okay. All right. Well, I'll just start by lighting the menorah so it can burn while I share. For those who aren't familiar with Hanukkah, that's what this menorah is called. If you notice, it's got 9 different candles instead of the 7, because this is not the menorah of the temple. This was something that was created as a memory tool to remember a partial fulfillment of a prophecy of Jesus that came true in Israel quite a few years ago, before the time of Christ. But the 9th one is called the Shamash, which means servant, and it's the servant candle because it lights the other candles. And today is the 4th day of Hanukkah, and so we're going to just light the first 4. And there are 8 candles that are lit on a Hanukkah menorah, because there was 8 days to the original event that prompted the start of the holiday of Hanukkah. But that was not actually where the prophecy began. I'll go stand over here. If you go in the minor prophets to the prophet Haggai, in chapter 2, there is a date given. It's the date, the 24th day of the 9th month, which is now called Kislev, but it was the 9th month of the Jewish calendar, and that happens to usually coincide with December in our calendar. It kind of moves around because they use a lunar and we use a solar calendar, but sometimes they fall in the same time period. Next year is one of those years. December 25th is Kislev 25th. But this year it's a little bit earlier. And in Haggai chapter 2, there is a promise given to Israel about their coming Messiah. And I'll read to you from verse 6, first of all. For thus says the Lord of hosts, once more, and it is a little while, I will shake heaven and earth, the sea and dry land, and I will shake all nations. And they shall come to the desire of all nations. And I will fill this temple with glory, says the Lord of hosts. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, says the Lord of hosts. The glory of this latter temple shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts. And in this place I will give peace, says the Lord of hosts. And what you find, if you look into the book of Zechariah, which is written at the same time as Haggai, Zechariah and Haggai were prophets at the exact same time. This is after Israel returned from their Babylonian captivity to rebuild the ruined temple and rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And you find out that the 24th day of the 9th month was the day that they laid the cornerstone of the temple. And so from that day on, God promised a blessing on Israel, but that's not all. So on that day, they lay the cornerstone, and then he says, and the word of the Lord came again to Haggai, this is verse 20, on the 24th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, the governor of Judah, saying, I will shake heaven and earth. I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms. I will destroy the strength of the Gentile kingdoms. I will overthrow the chariots and those who ride in them. The horses and the riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. That is a prophecy that is from Zechariah chapter 12 and 14. And that is a reference specifically to when Jesus comes back at the end of the 7-year tribulation to defeat the Antichrist's armies. And he brings confusion upon them with a great plague that causes their eyeballs and tongues to dissolve in their mouths. Crazy plague. Sounds nuclear like meltdown to me on atomic level. But Jesus basically comes back and defeats the armies of the whole Antichrist kingdoms of the world and ushers in his throne and his kingdom, and he will build a new temple in Jerusalem. It's described in Ezekiel. If you want to go into the details, it's going to be better than any of the other temples, and it will not just be a place of ceremonies and sacrifices. He will literally rule and reign as king from that temple. And that is what the prophecy in Haggai is actually all about. The 24th of Kislev, which found a minor fulfillment in the time of the Maccabees, which was about 165 years before Jesus was born, when there was another time that their temple was ransacked and it was profaned by an ungodly king who was a kind of a prototype of the Antichrist. And when they won the war by God's miraculous intervention, which was truly the Hanukkah miracle, they rededicated the temple after they cleansed it, and it was finished being cleansed on the 24th of Kislev. And no doubt there was some Bible scholar who saw the connections, like, whoa, Haggai had this date too. And since they had been forbidden from sacrificing and celebrating the final feast of that year, which was the Feast of Tabernacles, an 8-day feast that is all symbolic about Jesus' millennial reign from the temple in Jerusalem, they're like, let's pick up where we left off and celebrate Tabernacles now. Yes, it's the wrong month, but we're going to do it anyways. And so they implemented an 8-day feast, which is still to this day called by a lot of rabbis Second Tabernacles. So Hanukkah is both a partial fulfillment of what is still coming, which is why as Christians we can actually look at Hanukkah as not just a Jewish festival celebrating the Maccabean revolt a long time ago, but actually a promise and a reminder of the soon coming return of Jesus and his victory over all of the evil in this world, and the implementation of his righteous throne in Jerusalem, and the dedication of a temple that will be everything that everything was always meant to be from the time of Eden onward, with God ruling and reigning on earth with mankind, restoring us to himself. So truly it is a memory of a victory, but it is a promise of a future victory that's going to be the ultimate one. So that's what I wanted to share.
Ma'otzur Yeshuati Lekanae Leshabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati V'sham Toda Neshabeach Letachin Matbeach Yitzcham Nabeach Azemur Beshir Mizmur Hanukkah Chamizbeach Azemur Beshir Mizmur